So back in 2007, when we first thought about this whole idea of a eSWYC, it came out of the idea from talking to pediatricians that they wanted something a little bit different. They wanted something simple, they wanted something short, easy to use, and yet comprehensive, looking at kids' behavior, looking at their development, looking at autism symptoms, looking at family risk. Over here at Tufts Medical Center, we've been lucky to work with the CTSI and with other researchers who do things like predictive modeling and a whole range of sort of research methodology that's really, really useful. But our connection with the engineering department has provided us, really for the first time, at least in my professional career, with some insights into what human factors is all about. And it adds a whole new dimension that a lot of people seem to be very excited about this.
So we know that bringing developmental screening online will enable for more streamlined care for pediatricians and will enable better integration with electronic medical records. But before diving in and creating the user interface, I wanted to conduct comprehensive user research to understand the needs of the people who would ultimately be using the product. To do this, I started with a competitive analysis, looking at different products that are currently on the market, as well as a literature review to sort of become coherent in the world of developmental screening. From there, I conducted phone interviews with several different pediatricians to understand their needs and see the kind of information that they want to see laid out on the screen. For example, they told me that they wanted to see it laid out in the form of a schedule because that's how they normally interact with developmental screening data. They usually only look right before the patient's appointment.
Our final goal is to create an electronic version of the eSWYC. On our system, parents will be able to log in on their own free time and fill out the surveys on their own computer or smartphone. This will also remove the need for an employee to transcribe each survey into their electronic medical records. Our electronic system will also score each survey taken and create a graphical representation of that user score versus the population of users who have completed the same survey. This is very important because having a graphical representation is a lot better than just having a raw score in a database.
So this is the prototype I used for the second usability test for the eSWYC. The way you see it laid out here, it's in the form of a schedule that basically lists the pediatrician's appointments in order that they would come in. And you would be able to see a patient that wasn't on your schedule that day by going to the All Patients tab here and searching for them. But usually they would interact with it by looking at it on a schedule. And if you rolled over these icons when this is finished, you'd be able to see what each of these icons mean. But basically it indicates the level of concern associated with the result of the eSWYC, so that at a glance, pediatricians can understand something about their patient's result without having to go any deeper. And you would also be able to see the symbols and their meaning here. From there, you could go to the results page, where you would be able to see a summary of the patient's eSWYC for that day, broken up by category, and you could see that this bell curve represents where the patient is falling relative to the population. And if you wanted to see the specific responses that led to those answers, you could go to the response toggle up here and see how they answered each question and what level of concern that answer indicates. Furthermore, if the parent is chatting with the pediatrician and the pediatrician wants to make a note, he or she can go to add note here and type in some notes about whatever the parent is saying. And ultimately we'll be able to tag it with different categories, and so it'll be easier to archive and understand later. And from there, you'll be able to see the notes section over here, and be able to see what problems are associated with that child at the time, and a summary of all of the notes that have been made so far.
From an engineering standpoint, the biggest decision that I had to make was what web framework to use for our electronic version of the eSWYC. In the end, I decided to use the Django framework, which is a high-level Python web framework. The biggest thing that made me choose Django over other web frameworks was it's easy interfacing with databases. So what that really means is, in order to set up databases, all I have to do is design my data models in high-level Python code, easy to understand, and Django does all the hard work in creating the SQL code that ends up making the databases and the tables within those databases.
The scope of this project extends far beyond what we're able to accomplish in 1 year. The hope is that this product, as it develops, will be able to be integrated within an electronic medical record system, which will take some time. In the near term, we expect that the eSWYC, the electronic eSWYC, will exist as an independent web-based platform through which pediatricians can get the information that they need from parents' surveys and be able to interpret that information quickly and easily. But for the more high-fidelity features, including notes and tags and problems, that might come into play when it's turned into when it's integrated within a electronic medical record, so that the information that the pediatricians can enter about the eSWYC can be shared with the rest of the patient's record. This, of course, goes beyond what we're able to accomplish, but we hope that our work will be able to go towards that end of having a satisfying, usable, and really helpful product for pediatricians and parents to be able to interact with. Additionally, we hope to be able to make suggestions about the development of an app for smartphones and tablets for parents to be able to easily fill out the survey online, and also so that in pediatrician offices there can be an iPad in the waiting room on which parents can fill out their responses and have them upload automatically.